Happy Founders Day. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
we can. Mithu, a very happy Founders Day to you from
But
all
Thank
we
of
you,
can't
thank
us.
you, thank you.
we can't see you, Mithu.
You'll have to flick the screen, Dada. Then you'll see.
Taj click the screen, but she's not coming
Yeah.
on.
There she is. The spotlight is on her.
Good morning, Mithu. Krishna here. Wish you a happy Founders Day.
Happy Founders Day.
So, can everybody hear?
Yes, ma'am. We
Yes,
can
Mithu.
hear you.
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, I'll try. I'm learning every day. Happy Founders Day to everyone, and so happy to join, that you could join our celebration, because we start the celebration with prayers and reflection and really introspection about what our work has been. So, happy Founders Day, and it's a very special day and auspicious for us. And we start with lighting of the lamp, and I have a very nice surprise for you. We've got an extremely illustrious doctor called Dr. Shantilal Shah, who was very sporting and has been, he's very illustrious from FRCS England and all that. But what is interesting is how much he's done even after his retirement. He is an example to all of us that you don't really have to ever retire. So he started reading Sanskrit, Rabindra Tagore, meditation, and a whole list of things. And I requested him that, can you start the meeting with a blessing? And we had to know, glad to know it's such a privilege that he is going to do that. So we light the lamp, never done a Zoom call before, and Uncle will come in. And really thank you to our trustee, Dr. Rupin Shah, who got everything together, and to all the family members who are very good friends of ours and also worked a lot, Urvashi and Manjuti, etc., for us, great supporters. So can we just start with the prayer, please? Yeah.
নমস্কারে প্রভু একটি নমস্কারে সকল দেহ লুটিয়ে পড়ু তোমারি সংসারে একটি নমস্কারে প্রভু একটি নমস্কারে
Thank you very much, Uncle Doctor. Are you here? I'm not sure. And I mean, you will agree that he's got a very, very sweet voice and tremendous memory. Whereas I forget all the verses, but Uncle never forgets. And I'm so happy that on this auspicious day he agreed to bless this. So it's a huge, big tribute for us, who, try and divide the old and the young and everything. So he is amongst us. He's blessed you all. So we'll start. That was our prayer. It was a salutation to God. And I thought that one of the most important things that we do is really remembrance. We remember everybody who helped us in this journey, and then we retrospect. And anyway, I have been only given 3 minutes by Varsha, so I cannot speak for very long, but I'll try and get the gist of what I'm saying. But let me just welcome all our trustees who have been with me in this journey for a very long time. I'll start with our patron, and we never really had a patron after he died. But let me start with the first patron, who was Nargis. I called her Nargis G. And when I first went with my young husband, we were full of trepidation and alarm and fear as to what she'll say. But you know, she was so affectionate, caring, warm as a person. She immediately said, I want to be a doctor. I've always wanted to be a doctor, and my father did not allow me. So this is going to be a wonderful journey, and I will be the first patron of the Spastic Society. So there what she did, a very important thing, and she brought disabled people who are always relegated to the position of um, dreary and something to be really avoided, and glamorized it. And so between both of us, we were hugely interested in various other multiple intelligences, to borrow Howard Green and Usha, and we introduced all the cultural mode. But when she passed away, it was a big loss for us. And but very soon, Mr. Sunil Dutt took up the mantle, and he was a very big force to reckon with. You know, he took all of this to Parliament. So these two people, you know, whether you know or not, but do look up the birth book, and have played a key role in their own manner. And we have had quite a bit of support, beginning with Sham Benegal and Shonali Bose and Kalki and Nagesh, all of them from Bollywood. So you'll find that, yes, interspersed with our doctors, etc., are, of course, quite a few people who are from Bollywood and who are film directors. So, but I should also mention our senior most trustee here, and I'm so glad that he is present, and that is Professor Sitanshu Mehta. Welcome, sir, and very pleased to have you with us. And the fact that we have both, with Varsha and team, worked closely for Vipasha, who is the connecting factor. So here is another family. The first family was, of course, Nargis, Sunil, and then, of course, we got little Priya, who had come to us when she was only 6 years old. There's some disturbance at the back. And so that's one family. Then another family was Anjani and Vipasha and Sitanshu. And Sitanshu is a hugely well-known academic of India with a double Fulbright scholar. He is Padma Shri, but most importantly, he's one of the topmost poets. And I think more importantly than that, Sitanshu, is that you have been with the Spastic Society and behind me and the children for so long. So do welcome, and I'm happy to welcome you. Then we have the other family I just mentioned, that is Dr. Shah's family, where Rupan is representing him like he did today for the blessings. And I've worked very closely with Dr. Urvashi Shah, who's a well-known researcher. And also I have one of my favorites is his mother Manju. So that's another huge big family connection. And of course, we've had people from various parts of the country, like we have Usha, we have Jayabhutu Chatterjee from Kolkata, and I hope he'll say a few words. And there's Usha Ramakrishnan from Chennai, and Mr. Deepak Kalra, who we connected again like Vipasha, and she started the Jaipur Spastic Society, is not really feels strong enough to come for this meeting because of the demise of her son. It's very painful for her. So, I mean, all these are there. And of course, our generation next is also there. We've got, as I mentioned, Priya, who's in her own right, not just a politician. She is very much a social worker in the development sector, and has been with us from the age of 6, and has been very close to Malini and Nikhil. And we also have, uh, as I said, the generation next, which is uh, the Resodet, which is Malini, and of course the Nikhil, who's an economist looking after the financial portfolio. But more than that, I think Nikhil has a special position globally, uh, globally because as a brother, he's lived with disability and his mother for nearly 38 to 40 years. And I pay a great tribute to his patience and tolerance, and then the fact that he has been working very closely with the youngsters. Malini herself has done us great pride by being in Tata's in Bombay House. And of course, there's Usha, who's a real inspiration to us. Usha Ramakrishnan, who with Poonam and Rajul had started the Madras Society. And besides that, of course, she's a hugely spiritual person, and we've got them both now as trustees. But last not but not least is the relentless and 24-hour struggle and battle that Varsha has been through. So I think Varsha herself is a towering strength. I better not speak too much because I get so emotional. So then we have the board of advisors, and we have Dr. Shomiran Nandi, who is working as the chairperson, Dr. Farooq Udvadia, and Dr. Maida Fernandez, Dr. Anaita Hegde, and of course I can see my friend who's really set it up with us, Dr. Pravina Shah. Hello, Pravina. And so happy to see you. And her niece works with us nowadays as a special educator. And besides that, we have many, many people who are honorary advisors. We've got Babaji, who has actually been with us now for 11 to 12 years, and is really quite a backbone for staff to always go to. And I mentioned Deepak, who is not able to come, Jayabhutu, who's a communication expert, and right throughout has spent many, many years in Kolkata Spastic Society and produced films, but has worked very closely also for me, and I could take this opportunity to congratulate you as a trustee. And then I should mention that we've had a lot of my family also coming in, which I should mention people who've done equally a huge amount to all of us here in Bombay. Of course, Shomiran Nandi's wife, Amita Nandi, who is my sister was a key person with a group of people like Arun Shori and Mrs. Jalan and a whole lot of other people who actually went on to do a PhD. And then they set up a beautiful institution of the Delhi Spastic Society. I should also actually mention, last but not least, no, for the voluntary capacity, we don't actually only have the staff who look after the children and give the treatment. We also have a whole network of people who look after all the various aspects, of the finance, the compliance issues, the legal issues. And in this connection, I have two newcomers. I can't see them, but I believe they are here. One is my friend Ragini Sen, who is actually a PhD from London School of Economics and is heading our policy department. Ragini, did you have time to come? And then, of course, we have Mr. Suneep Sen, who's just joined us and is our legal advisor and is one of the most illustrious lawyers, actually. We have two or three other people who work very, very closely with us and staff. And one is, I can see him, Oshim Sinha, who is assistant to Shyam Benegal, and he's actually a filmmaker in his own right, and has made some excellent films and edited it for us. And I think you're going to see one of them. We also have from Bollywood, as I said, a nice collection of, again, youngsters. We've got Shonali Bose, who with Kalki and Malini as initially an inspiration, and then it was her own fictional story of Margarita with a straw. We've got Kalki, who has been, is now our goodwill ambassador. And we have also people like Nagesh, who's been extraordinary in supporting the marathon. We have, most importantly, of course, we have Veera Udvadia and Shyam Benegal. And all of these people will be speaking to you. I think it is important also to mention that in our institutional review board, which I tried to make it hugely scientific, Dr. Sumran Nandi, who's actually his wife, as you know, set up Delhi, and his mother-in-law, set up the Calcutta. I mean, was together with Calcutta. And when I mention Calcutta, I cannot. So Dr. Nandi is a key person in the organization, looking at all the scientific treatises of the organization and making us, I can assure you, go through the grind. And equally controlling the quality and what the organization is doing is Dr. Farooq Udvadia. Dr. Mrs. Veera Udvadia is a very, very popular figure of the organization and is also doing a lot of work and comes in every Wednesday to work with the kids. So we have all the doctors actually with us, and they're a very, very important part. And I should not leave a fellow of Harvard and who's also an important member of our research team, and that's Dr. Shurujit Nandi. So basically, I mean, we have actually had the opportunity of building up Generation Next. And I think that that's because I'm moving to the second lot of people who have really developed the organization with their loyalty, their determination, their dedication, their commitment, and that is actually the staff. And I call them my colleagues because I have learned so much from them. And because, you know, people like myself and Deepak and Manju and Shobha who are here, we are mothers. But the others, they have done as much, if not more. So, I mean, I have greatest of respect for all the people who came forward and who don't actually have a, a relative. It's a pity that Deepak's not here because she did a lot of work with me in, as did Poonam and Raju in Chennai. Um, in Jaipur. So, but coming on to a very, very special lot of people, not only the rigor and the discipline of learning a very new subject of special ed and then inclusive ed. Now it's no longer special ed, go on to inclusive ed, learn about inclusion. So, the openness, and most importantly, I should share with you that all the people I've mentioned, they have really loved the cause. They have gone beyond themselves and have really contributed a lot. So to the my colleagues, I pay a huge tribute, and we usually say it's all our birthday. It's not just Founders' Day. And earlier on, it was a bit pathetic because I kept getting presents and all that. So I said, no, you don't need that. That will be too bad. You just let's get on to prayers and introspection and reflection. And so I come to the last bit of the talk, and that is actually the vision was to alert the country about cerebral palsy, because sad as it is to say to you that cerebral palsy was not an identity here. I think you all probably know that it was called plastic and all that. And what is plastic, the jargon term. So they had no clue about it. So that identity, I'm afraid, has happened. We now know that cerebral palsy is eminently suited for education and has gone into right to education. And very good examples of people who have become accountants, financiers. Vipasha is our first PhD in Foucault, and just amazing because she was my first student and also Varsha's, and she wasn't a very good communicator, Sitanshu, I'm so sorry to say. So every time I pushed her and I said, what did you have for lunch today, or what did you have? She said the same thing. I hope Anjali is listening, Anjali, the dal and rice. So I said, see, I know them very well. So you just think up what you're going to say. So it's just amazing how not just that, but a whole lot of other people and disciplines working with her really got her thinking and her creative juices moving. Her critical thinking came in. And with that critical thinking, she, I think, besides being a double PhD, is single PhD, which is a very creditable thing from the society, is a poet. I don't know if she beats Sitanshu, but I have a little partisan kind of feeling that I think she probably does, because she has so many physical constraints which she's getting over. So I'm coming to what was the vision. It was to alert this country and about cerebral palsy, that it needs people. And so then we got quite sort of enveloped with the technical side. And So we are actually a technical organization. Our product is technical. We know if you give us a child with neurological insult, we will certainly be able to tell you exactly how and what to do. So then our greatest friends are the doctors because they liked that space where they could send their children and thing. And the other thing about people from around the country, we were not at all pleased to just be on as trustees in the governing body. We are foot soldiers. We work on the ground. And I don't want to sound holier than thou because a lot of others work with the poor, but ours is essentially the common approach is definitely those who are impoverished, disadvantaged, and the poor. Yes. So that's been the huge story of 49 years. Lastly, I'm coming to the point that what is the mission? The vision was that we went beyond that. Our performance was from one child, it became a million. But how did it all happen? So let me just examine a couple of approaches that I used. And one was humanism. One is, I used about 3 or 4 isms. And humanism was love, compassion, kindness. The first thing to remember is your child is child first. And also, he's an important member of your family. And he will do the most with love, compassion, understanding, and emotion. So that humanism is something which the birth book also writes about. That doctors sometimes were a little bit harsh. I worked with a couple of doctors who said, "Oh, don't give the parents any files because they don't understand." Why do they understand? They don't understand because, of course, of their impoverished backgrounds and you who are so privileged to be a doctor, etc., you've got it in your hands of how to get them around. So changing attitudes amongst the doctors who actually were absolutely wonderful, if I may say so. They liked it. So it became professionalism, scientific rationalism combined with care and love. And care, love, emotion, feeling, these are not things that most doctors like to, but certainly the doctors that I work with and all the other societies did that. They certainly went on the note of compassion and what it is to be completely misunderstood and excluded. So humanism is one of the key principal tenets of definitely my work and everybody else in the organization. And then I did another technique, that's federalism. I did not particularly want control and power and all. It didn't excite me at all. So we as a technical team went across and we taught them the various things. We kept visiting them. And now, of course, you have 29 states who have got spastic society. Of course, you're not going to get someone to say, "Are you talking about plastics?" And of course, the doctors will spend a lot of time giving the child and the mother a hug and definitely go on to the human aspects of suffering. So I think federalism, if only we could get that in a bigger thing, was a small way that the Spastic Society grew so immensely from one child to a million. The other thing is we decentralized like that. I called it the 3Ds. I just demystified cerebral palsy, disability, And I went on to deinstitutionalizing, because special schools are a remnant of colonialism. That's what, all that I have learned was colonial, you know. So how do I get it culture specific? How do I get it context specific? So there was the decentralization of power, and reaching out was the main thing. You don't want to mention us, do not bother. That's not important. And of course, deinstitutionalization had to be done. You had to be sitting on the floor with your children and proffer them a cup of tea first. And so decentralization, the three Ds, critical area, to create a critical mass. And I think another thing that I'm working on at the moment is values in education, and values, they start right from the child. So I'm going to start a school of development studies, which is going to be uh, concentrating on the social sector and the poor, and will also concentrate on the rich, and teach the rich trustees of foundations, etc., what it is, and why people like Asim Premji or Warren Buffett, and why should people in America be considered the most philanthropic, and what about India? I hope I can get that off the ground. But really, these are the three, four main isms of patriotism, and redefining really patriotism, and not really wanting to sit on committees, but really doing it in a much more humble thing, and understanding that one's own ego, etc. So bring it up from that physical level to certainly a level which is spiritual, and move on to the mission, that the overarching framework of our work, our model, which made so many people all over India admire the work, is really the spiritual level. So you have then obviously got rid of you, yourself, and your ego and whatever. So I think I'm going to stop because that's the reflection, is that we will have to continue for a long, long time. And we have got the government in position. We have definitely got special society, cerebral palsy onto the map of the country. But so much has to be done. And although we worked for 48 years, may you all be with us, because we definitely want another model in the country. We definitely want caring and for the needy, for the impoverished, for the disabled, and for people who've been oppressed, reviled, neglected. So that's going to take quite quite a long time. So be with us, and I'm sorry it became so heavy, but that's the price you pay, you see, when you get someone like me speaking. But happy Founders Day, everyone. And we look forward to all the trustees speaking, and some very important people who have been invited to speak. And of course, there's going to be a lot of prayers and cultural things. So, thank you very much, and namaskar, and welcome to this Founders
Happy
Day.
Founders Day.
Happy Founders Day,
Happy
Mithu.
Founders Day.
As I said, it's all our birthday. It's all
Happy
our
Founders
Founders Day.
Day.
Many, many congratulations.
Thank
Happy
you.
Founders Day, ma'am.
Happy Founders Day, ma'am.
Happy
Oh,
Founders Day.
I can see my friend Dr. Armando Fernandez.
Many, many
I
congratulations.
can see Dr. Fernandez here. My very good friend Dr. Fernandez has come all the way from Goa. I mean, she's not come physically, but
Founders Day, Mithu D.
and we've got Shubhra and Usha and all the
Happy
good joiners.
Founders Day, Mithu. All the best. We are with you.
Thank you. So we've got a husband and wife here. I think we've also got Suneet. Is Anjani here?
He's also here, yes.
Acha. Is Dr. Shah here?
Yes, yes.
So that family, everyone's here.
You're all
So,
here.
yeah, great. Thank you. So, can we just
Thank you,
move
Mithu
on
Di.
to the
Happy
program?
Founders Day,
Because
Dr.
I've,
Lee.
thank you, Shabnam. I got some.
Happy Founders Day, ma'am.
Thanks, thanks. We'll be very pleased to hear you. But you know, I've got a lot of dirty looks from Varsha.
Not at all. Not at all.
So can we just move on?
But hearty congratulations, Mithu Di, and thank you and Dr. Shantilal Shah for that very soulful rendition. It was such a beautiful beginning to the celebrations.
Yes.
Also, hearty congratulations to Malini, who's been our pioneer student and a trailblazer who millions have followed after her. She often calls herself a guinea pig. So sorry, Malini, but thank you for being that guinea pig for the sake of everyone else.
There are some guinea pigs here staring at you. The youngest guinea pig, Mia, Chib, Natasha, Nikhil, all these guinea pigs. Poor things. They don't have a voice, poor things. Anyway, so let's just get on.
Yeah. Mithu Di, as always, has taken half my script away. I wanted to introduce her. I sat up and I wrote a very innovative one, but she wouldn't let me do that. But she is well enough for me not to have to say all that she has done. What all she has pioneered in India. I just want to say that she's been a mother figure to every one of us, not just to Malini and Nikhil. And that's why we all call her Mithu Di. But today is also a day where we not only celebrate, but we take a little step back and reflect. So for all the hard work that Mithu Di and others have
Hello.
to build this movement, Moumita Das, one of our colleagues, has created a short audio visual which we'd like to share with you.
Amar Mukti Aloi Aloi Hey Akashe Amar Mukti Aloi Aloi Amar Mukti Dhulaye Dhulaye Ghashe Ghashe Hey Akashe Amar Mukti Aloi Aloi আমার মুক্তি সর্বজনীর মনের মাঝে দুঃখ বিপদ তুচ্ছ করা কঠিন কাজে
আমার মুক্তি সর্বজনের মনের মাঝে দুঃখ বিপদ তুচ্ছ করা কঠিন কাজে এই আকাশে
আমার মুক্তি আলোয় আলোয়
এই আকাশে
আমার মুক্তি
আলোয় আলো
Thank you, Moumita.
ये दरवाजा बंद कर.
To encapsulate 5 decades of work in 3 minutes is not an easy task. Well done.